Hi, everybody. So today I'm going to be talking about scaling AI impact across your organization and the role that location data plays in that, and how you can get to ROI much more easily with that location data layer in place. So before I get into a full demo of looking at this and seeing that manifest in MCP Server, I want to talk about something that I think most of us are all pretty well aware of, which is that as enterprises and organizations move to use AI across their workflows and for their most important use cases, oftentimes there's a gap between implementing those AI tools and workflows and actually getting to the ROI. So not quite seeing the results yet of those AI implementations. And there's a number of reasons for that. But the one that I want to touch on today and really focus on is around data completeness. I think very often we see organizations that are pushing forward with their AI projects using solely their internal data. And while that can certainly help for a number of use cases and should be a foundation that they're building their semantic and context layers on, oftentimes we find that missing that external data, the data sets that humans would bring in and enrich their internal records with and use to get a more full perspective, is not something that AI tools or agents necessarily know to do or do in practice. So you end up with a lot of potentially avoidable gaps and missed opportunities around things like understanding proximity between your assets or demographics and customer behaviors in specific locations, or just details about properties if you're thinking about like retail or real estate or insurance. So very often you'll have to answer questions for your core use cases around where are my customers, who are they, where are their opportunities, where are their risks in the physical world. And if you aren't able to provide that external location data layer to your AI tools and workflows, then inevitably you're going to get back either no response or hallucinations that lead to making the wrong business decisions. So uh, at Precisely, we're combating this through providing folks with access to a connected enrichment data ecosystem. So make it really seamless to go from your internal customer records, your business records, lists of addresses, to these fully enriched data sets that AI can more reasonably use to make actual decisions that are informed from a number of perspectives rather than guesswork. So layering in properties, demographics, addresses, information about streets and routing, boundary data, risk data around environmental hazards, audience data, all kinds of things. And using unique IDs to make that data enrichment connection process really seamless so that you're not spending months and months to actually get those attributes appended to your internal records. And we're extending that too through our partner program. So Data Link over here on the right-hand side of the slide makes it so that, again, through unique IDs, we're connecting all of the data that Precisely offers with data from other leading providers. So for example, if you're working with Dun& Bradstreet and you've got a bunch of data around businesses and your competitors and the market landscape, that's all seamlessly linked up with data from Precisely around locations and consumers and properties and risk factors. So able to further extend your perspective and make it really easy to pull together all of the different external sources that you might be using to have AI help support a use case. And we really see this having an impact across industries and across verticals for all of our customers. So for insurance, for example, if you've got your internal records and then you're bringing in that enrichment data around property details and risk factors, and maybe there's adjacency risk. So understanding what other businesses might be in the same building that you could make more informed underwriting decisions with. So being able to feed all of that into AI-driven workflows or provide that to agents that are going to go off and autonomously make recommendations and decisions with that. And you can extend that across location intelligence related use cases with things like network planning and expansion in telco, or just simple good old site selection in retail and real estate. Um, so the question then becomes, how do you make this location data really usable for AI? Because I think a lot of you are probably working in tools like Claude and with ChatGPT, and just in environments that don't really natively support spatial data. And you certainly don't want to have to go badger your data engineers or your data science teams to actually make that spatial data usable. You don't want to be messing with GIS tools and doing spatial joins. So MCP servers are a really natural fix here. And so Precisely has an MCP server that makes it seamless for you to ask questions in natural language and get back the answers from our data enrichment and location intelligence APIs behind the scenes. You don't have to understand the architecture or how that works. It's just going to feed back into the AI tools of your choice in a format that is really intuitive and immediately usable. So not only scaling it in the sense of extending it to AI, but also making it easy for those business users, maybe those less technical folks, to actually get a hold of it and use it in their day-to-day workflows. So just popped over here into Claude, and I want to walk through just an example of how you might be bringing in some of that location data, putting it into a really common AI tool and interface like Claude through the MCP server, and then using that to start immediately getting to value. So imagining myself as like a business user that's trying to answer some questions about a specific use case and needing that external location data layer in place. So just looking at what's available through the MCP server here, we can see address data, we can see property data, information about demographics, boundaries, various types of risks. So again, able to really seamlessly get all of that data that you need into the AI tool of your choice through the MCP server. And so here in Claude, I've just given it some instructions. I know this is probably a little small on your screen, but I'm just asking it to be a territory and network strategist for a fictional telco company and to spin up some reports for me so that I can make more informed decisions about where to expand my network. And rather than run this, I'm just going to go into a previous conversation. I've also asked it here to analyze the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area for expansion potential. So I want to look at this really large US metro area and figure out where there are going to be opportunities for me to actually maybe build out fiber. And I've also asked it here to take in some information from one of our data link partners. So Shovels is an organization that has permitting and contractor intelligence data, I think over 160 million permits. So you can see where build outs are occurring and who's leading them and get a better sense of that. So now I'm going to pop over to the actual report that Claude produced and just walk you through how a fictional site selection professional for telco would actually go about using this data and having the AI sort of provide back that immediate value. Here we can see that I'm given recommendations about which zip codes to look into, along with uh, demographic and property information around things like household income or expected population growth forecasts. And I can also see, again, with the connected shovels data, the permits in these zip codes. So I can see where build is occurring. I can see things like daytime dwell potential. I have serviceability information about who the dominant carriers are, AT&T and T-Mobile, not really a surprise to anyone. And if I scroll through this, I just have a wealth of information about each individual zip code, the number of permits in play, how many are active, how many are just coming up. And then I can also see, if I scroll down a little bit farther here, even more demographic information. So I can look into things like what's the work from home rate look like in this area, or what is the average rent, what does unemployment look like, or the average number of vehicles. So I can get a really complete picture that goes way beyond what I might have just in my internal records about my assets or my existing customers. And I can also look at things like the permit funnel and the stage there across zip codes, growth in permit over time, and visualizing on a map where all of these permits are individually. So able to immediately, just by prompting in Claude, just using a tool that business professionals are very adept with these days, I'm able to pull through all of this connected data and look at things like contractor intelligence and break the permits down by address. Really without needing to jump through a bunch of hoops. I'm able to just give my AI tools all of the information that they need. I don't have to be really on top of the technical aspects. I don't need to involve a handful of like data engineering teams and wait for weeks or months for them to connect that data and make it all usable together in tandem. It's all just ready to go in a really simple workflow that I can then use to create assets like this that start generating value for the business immediately and help me make smarter decisions faster across my core business function. And this is just an example that's obviously geared towards the telecommunications network. But again, I think you can imagine how you could very easily change this to be a site selection report around properties for insurance and getting a better sense of underwriting based on uh, disparate external data that's been appended to your own internal records, and then being able to either put that into an AI tool like this and use it to help speed up the processes that I would normally be doing, or potentially put it into an agentic workflow and have agents make decisions on that data on my behalf. So that's really the crux of it, providing that location data layer to help out with data completeness and ensuring that enterprises are actually feeding AI tools and AI systems all the data that they need, and then making it really seamless again through the MCP server to actually have those connections go into place and make it all usable for less technical folks so that they can start generating some value from those AI investments. So I think that's going to be it to me. I think I'm the last one here closing it all out. So would love it if you would check out the Precisely developer portal. Can explore documentation about our APIs, about the MCP server, can try all this all for free, as well as the Precisely data experience, which gives you an overview of all of our different data product offerings so that you can, again, uh, download that, try it for free, see what it looks like in combination with your existing data. So love to hear from you about how you might be using some of that data and using our MCP server to get some of those trials spun up or in your core business function.